Welcome back to Playwright from Zero to Hero. I am your instructor Mahesh Patil. In this lesson, we will discuss hooks and control flows in Playwright. Let's imagine let's imagine a scenario where we need to automate a date picker page. Let before that let me run this thing, this program, so that you will understand what I mean to say. Okay, let's imagine you want to navigate to this page and click on forms, and instead of form layout, you want to click on date picker. How we can do it? So one way we can do is we can just copy paste the same line of code here. I'll just write here. I'll just change it to second test, and I'll say it as a date picker. I'll run this thing. I just given the name of the page title here. Now I'll try to run this thing. It should pass. Before that, let me close this thing. Let me just run this thing again. So it opened that page. It clicked on forms and then again it clicked on the date picker. So everything looks good. But you know what is the problem with this thing? The problem of this code is here there is a code duplication. How we can solve the duplication? So we can solve the duplication with hooks. So you see there are two lines of code which is getting repeated here. This one and these two. These two lines are getting repeated in both the pages. So in so how we can fix that thing to optimize our code? So we will use something called before each hook. If you are very much familiar with Selenium concept, there was some the from framework called test.ng where we use annotations. So similarly, we have before each hook. So we can utilize the before each hook to remove the duplication. So how we can do that thing? We can do that by using test dot before he each and write the function async. Inside this, you have to again page you have to use. And let's use the fat. Let me just, sorry, there is some mistake I made it. We have to use the fat arrow and then braces. Close it. Okay, now whatever the steps were getting repeated, you can copy it here and you can remove from the other two tests. So by placing the repetitive setup code inside before each, it execute before every test. So so whatever you have place the code inside before each, right? It will execute before every test and then it will go to the text. So by removing those lines from the individual test, it optimized the code. Let me try to run this thing and see. Before that, let me close this thing, this page. Let me try to run. My bad, that was some error here. Let me just fix it. It should be equal to symbol here. Let me rerun again. You see, it is running. It got page load loaded. It clicked on forms and form layout, and then it clicked on date pickers. So, so this is all about before each. Similarly, like we have other hooks before all. after all. So before all hook, if you use it, execute once before all the tests in a file. Usually for global preconditions like seeding databases. You can use after each and after all also. So if you use after each hook, runs after each test, typically used to clean up after your tests. Also, we have something hook called after all. It executes once after all the tests are completed. Commonly, you can use it to remove the test data or to perform some tear down task. But many of experts says we have to try overusing after each and after all, as they can cause some flakiness in our execution. Instead, consider handling such tasks in before each or improve for improving stability and performances. So, okay, you like you can combine hooks and test suits, you can group test into test suits using test.describe and apply the hooks to specific suits. What I mean to say is like let's say you like test dot describe and say one suit, so which is something like sanity. You can say I'll say it, I'll name it as sanity. And so describe is describe. So this describe function can describe using the like two parameters. One is sanity and another is fat arrow. Just opening and closing braces. Enter. So this is all about describe. Now you can put your all this whole program here. Let me just cut this thing and I wanted to put it under here. So what I did basically here, I just created one sanity suit and inside that there is one precondition and page precondition I have entered and under that precondition I have set of tests. So I can like differentiate into two, like instead of using, let's say this sanity I have written, just I will use the same copy paste and I will say two different suits create, I will say. So one suit is sanity, another let's say just smoke and let me just keep as it is for now. So this I will say fourth, third. This is third test, and this is something like fourth test. Let me not create more test here. I will use this as a first here. I'll just delete this thing first, and I'll just use this as a second test. Okay, so now what we did now, what I want to do is instead of using before each here, I wanted to use it at the top. Oops. I think okay, instead of each using before each here, I wanted to use okay, some issue with my keyboard. Let me cut and let me paste it here. So now we have a suit with sanity inside it we have one test case. We have another suit called smoke. Inside it we have another test, second test. And before that we what the conditions we have. Let me remove this down. Okay, so I will try to execute. Now, how this code will execute? First, it will execute the before each. So the before each, it should go to this page and then it comes here to the sanity suit and it will execute the first and then it comes to this suit and it will execute the second test. Let me just close this thing and run this page again. Let's wait. See, it got executed. Okay. So here what we did is we have used before each as a global before each hook. It executes before all the tests in the file. If we let's say inside if we have used inside the describe, then that particular suit specific related test case before that it will execute like that. So we have also conditional execution like we can skip. Like if you want to skip this particular suit, you can skip it by using dot skip. Also, if you want to execute only this particular suit, you can use dot only like this. So this is all about actually hooks and control flows. So in order to summarize what we learned today, we learned like playwright hooks before each runs before every test, after each runs after every test, before all runs once before all test, after all runs once after all test. So using a test.describe to group and organize test into suits we have used. We have used before each within the suits to set up specific conditions. And we have optimized our flow to avoid redundancy and improve stability. That's it for this lesson. Thanks everyone. See you in the next lesson.